Hello, welcome back to Jaws on Sports, the best show on the net right here tonight. You got Mike and Zach. We're going to talk about the incredible Red River rivalry this past weekend when the Oklahoma Sooners took down the Texas Longhorns. Woohoo! Yes. And then, totally unexpected, but totally appropriate for the times, we're going to go into part two of just what in the hell happened to the Dallas Cowboys. So with that, Zach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm okay. I'm home. Um, got a little break from school this week, so
Back in
not bad.
Springboro?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought I saw your stuff there behind your head there. Very good.
Right.
All right. So anyway, why don't we jump right into it? Um, I didn't have anything good for dinner tonight, so I can't call out anybody, so I won't do it.
All right, man. Good for you.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and just take it, whichever one you want to go with first.
Um, I mean the OU game. Uh, it's Texas. It's always crazy. Doesn't matter the record. Um, but definitely a lot. Well, the jump that team made in a year compared to last year. Um, it's really fundamental things though. It's tackling. Uh, you're not being fooled by motion and misdirection and all that. And it's those small changes that led them to win. But with that, I mean, we're happy they won, but there's a lot they need to clean up. They could have won that game by 3 scores. They didn't have all the mistakes they had. So,
Yeah, one
um,
of the things that I mean, in retrospect, we were talking the other night, and Zach and I watched this game on campus there down in Athens, and we figured that hey, we got the euphoria of the win. Let's get a couple days to kind of digest this and see what's going on because the reality is this: the Sooners went from probably looking at something like the Pop Tart Bowl or the Alamo Bowl or something like that to college football playoff contender, and they got a heck of a good chance to make it. Big difference. We knew that they were going to be better. We didn't know how much better, but with that, this gives us an opportunity to really nitpick at the game. And there's a couple things. Obviously, special teams cost them some points, but um, one thing that bothered me, they're in the third quarter, they're up by 10. They just had a great defensive stop. They got the ball in midfield and they went three and out. That was a huge missed opportunity. Um, they did make plays when they needed to, and the defense sure stepped up, though.
yeah, I mean, I was mad the whole game because you know how a big game, the you know big plays, swing plays can change it. A blocked punt can't have that. They had the kickoff that got brought back.
Hmm.
Um, they had, um, they had that drive where they forced a fumble at midfield, didn't get any points off of it. Um, it's a lot of stuff like that, and there were great things they did too, but it's such a stupid thing to gripe about. But they could have won that game by 3 scores if they played cleaner. But good on them for getting a really good pass rush. We haven't seen that all year,
Yeah,
and against the
yeah.
best O line that they'll play, they
Hmm.
dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Um, the secondary lockdown, there was nothing over the top. Texas only dinked and dunked the whole game.
Yeah,
That's all they could do. And the run game wasn't really going. They had that 120 something yard touchdown run, but that was it.
yeah. One of the
Although,
things, yeah, one of the things that we've seen a lot going back, I mean, quite a while in the Oklahoma Texas rivalries are these huge plays on both sides, uh, just every game, and just in particular. in this game, there were not any for the Horns at all. They weren't able to even throw the ball downfield because there was nothing there. So Ewers had some pretty good completion percentages, and considering he had 2 interceptions, there were only, I think, 3 balls that actually hit the ground. Not that that matters a whole lot, but they had a whole bunch of real short, high percentage passes, and the Sooners didn't give up anything. Just go back in time last year, 2 years ago, when you were there at the Cotton Bowl, second play of the game, Xavier Worthy caught a little 2-yard pass out in the flat, did a little pirouette and sprinted 80 yards for a touchdown. And you're not seeing that with the Sooners this year. They had was that last week? They had a couple breakdowns there in the first quarter, but after that, nothing. And so,
Yeah.
just the big things, obviously, they're much more stout up front on the defensive line. The linebackers, especially Danny Stunsman, who you are not a fan of. I don't know if that's still the case, but he's been playing like his hair is on fire. You got guys, true freshmen like Peyton Bowen, who's making incredible plays out there. You got Key Lawrence, Gentry Williams, Billy Bowman, Woody Washington, all those guys out in the secondary who are there. It's easy to say they're doing their job out there. They're not allowing anything behind them. They're making big plays in front of them. They're hitting the ball. The thing that I keep hearing a lot from the talking heads at ESPN is just how much more physical the Sooners are this year.
Oh, they're more physical, but they're making routine plays. They're not dropping the interceptions. They're, forcing the fumbles. They're getting the tackle on 1st and 10 in the backfield instead of letting it go for 5 yards. They're not missing those tackles. But they finally got a pass rush on Saturday. If they can keep that up, they're going to be hard to move the ball on.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed is these guys they continue growing like they are. They're going to play themselves into the NFL. And, if I said that a year or two ago, you'd probably think I'm crazy with some of these guys on the team.
Yeah, I still think you're crazy, but yeah, you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah. But it's just, the tackling was really the big problem. And they're not out of position. I mean, there's no blown coverages. Texas had that Worthy guy and, just throw it over the top with him. That wasn't there at all the whole game.
Yeah.
The OU, for how much Texas was talked up, they got busted up on Saturday. Oklahoma was more physical. Were they more talented than Texas? They weren't, but they played better as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And, the offense, I think they played really well besides on 3rd and 2. You gotta make those plays on 3rd down. But regardless of that, a lot of missed opportunities, dropped the touchdown at the end of the half. We're talking 45-20 with some of those mistakes. Even 2 of those mistakes gone. It's a completely different game.
I do think that just historically, some of that has to do with that mystique of this game, because crazy crap happens. It's happened many, many times. It'll happen again as the 2 teams go to the SEC. This year, this Oklahoma team, let's go a few weeks down the road. They're playing BYU, they're playing Okie State, Texas Tech, something like that. And they're in the position like they were in the 3rd quarter with the ball at midfield up 10 points. I think they slammed the door on that team. Against Texas, weird freaking things happen. I know that, college football is ever changing. You got a 40 or 50% roster turnover every year. You got incoming freshmen. You got guys that leave. You got guys that transfer, injured players that never come back. There's a trillion different variables, but there's something real about these big rivalries. OU, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC,
Even Bama and
Bama or
Auburn,
Auburn.
that
Yeah,
game's always weird.
yeah, weird things happen, and the bottom line is when that Ewers Hail Mary pass just fell limply in the end zone. Zach and I, man, we could have run through a wall. We could have fought Islam in the UFC for the light heavyweight title here in about 11 days and beat him. Probably
Yeah.
not. No, never mind. I was at the gym. And I'm still sweating here a little bit, but yeah, no UFC fight this week for me. But all in all, it just respect to the Sooners all around.
Well, respect to Texas too. As much as I don't like to say that, but Texas is a good football team, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they got it back together and continue to win. I think they'll have another weird stinker game, but um, Texas is a really good team, and they've made the jump. I think from mediocrity to above average.
No, they're solid. I mean, they went to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. And say what you want about Alabama, and both Zach and I are on the record for picking them to win the national championship. I haven't rescinded that. I'm a guy. I have the right to do that if I want, but I haven't done it because every time we've counted Alabama out, they've come back and just beat the crap out of everybody. But Texas went in there and beat them straight up. Did Alabama have quarterback problems? Yes. Do they have the same kind of talent, the skill position this year? No. But Texas went in and beat them. Texas tends to have problems against the Texas Tech, West Virginia's, Oklahoma States of the world, and we'll see what happens with that. I mean, top to bottom, they're completely loaded with talent. Have a bunch of guys that be playing on Sunday, but I tell you, on Saturday, the Sooners outplayed them on both sides of the ball, except in the kicking game. Definitely not the kicking game.
Yeah, special teams has to be addressed, but
Yeah.
they made plays, and to win championships, you got to make plays and big moments like the goal line stand. You tell me Oklahoma get a goal line stand 4 straight plays at the 1 yard line the last 8 years, I would say that throwing you in the mental hospital.
8 years, shoot, man. Let me tell you, I was thinking about that on the drive home on Saturday, and the last goal line stand I could think of that they had was back in the 2000 national championship season, I think against Texas A&M. Before that, it might have been the freaking 70s. They just don't have these plays like that, and plays like that really don't happen in college football these days. I think the fact of the matter is that play with that little slant route there, right, the goal line, or I guess you call that a slant or you call that like a bubble screen because he had the other receiver.
Oh, like a tunnel. It's like a tunnel screen.
Okay. The bottom line is this. Every time in the last 20 years against any Oklahoma Sooner team that's played since, that's a touchdown. This time it wasn't. And it's just a hell of a play. And they made quite a few of those plays during the game. Like you, I'm going to give respect to Texas because, I don't like them. I got lots of friends who they bleed that burnt orange color that kind of makes me, it makes my nose run. I just don't like it. But respect to the Horns. And the thing is with the Big 12 this year, the Big 12 is kind of topsy-turvy. It's bizarre. Other than the Kansas Jayhawks, who Texas already beat, nobody else has really stepped up. So, maybe West Virginia. I like WV, but I think it's probably 60-70% chance, if not more, that we'll see a rematch in the Big 12 championship game, which would be pretty crazy with the two outgoing teams playing for the last title.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll touch on is a guy that I believed in since he stepped on campus, and a lot of people didn't. Dylan Gabriel. He showed who he was. All these people saying these things, and he's not fit to be that Oklahoma quarterback. You got people calling for a true freshman to come in and play, and he shut everybody up. And I mean, OU doesn't win that game without him. I think we're witnessing right now. It's a different situation, but I think we're kind of witnessing a Jalen Hurts season where he kind of wills them to win their games, and it's him. We saw it last year without him. So, I mean, that drive at the end, I was telling you during the game, I don't know if these guys can go down and have a game-winning drive. And I mean, I'll never forget that drive. They went right down the field. Couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
When they broke the huddle to go on the field, they were winning the game. So, long season ahead still, but it's a career-defining drive from Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Bleacher Report for our viewers out there who check that out on the Oklahoma page today. You had Dylan Gabriel, you had Jahel Farouk, and Nick Anthony, a couple other guys, and they were sitting there in one of the conference rooms watching the video of that last drive and talking about it. It's pretty cool. I suggest checking that out. They had some good comments, and that will definitely go down in Sooner lore as just one of those crazy memorable things that was amazing to watch. And it would have been great to see it in person, but we weren't there this year. I gotta say, Dylan Gabriel, I liked the guy last year. He had some accuracy issues. Sometimes he would overthrow the short receiver by a lot. This year, the guy is out there. He's hitting the throws. He's playing with moxie. He's an absolute leader. It's his team. And he became a Sooner legend in that game on Saturday.
Yep. Well, the best part about that game is we get to do it again next October.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, looking ahead to this weekend, we'll get to Dallas, but I just want to touch on a couple games. This is a playoff game on Saturday in Washington. Two of the best offenses in the country. Defense will be optional at 3:30 on Saturday. Thinking this might be a 49-41 kind of game with Oregon. I think this game is going to depend on if Oregon can get a pass rush on Penix. And if not, he's just going to dime them up. That guy's the most accurate passer in the United States. Oregon, they can win playing bully ball, though. They can run the ball. I think for Oregon to win, they need turnovers and they need to have like 45 minutes of possession. But that's going to be a crazy game. Environment's crazy. I don't bet on anything, but if I did bet, I'm going with the Huskies in that one. I think a Husky beats a duck in a fight, so taking Washington.
Yeah, the Huskies are. I'm looking at ESPN right now. The Huskies are a 3-point favorite in that game, and that's your typical home team spread right there. And that's going to be fun to watch. And we got 3:30, 3:30 Eastern time on ABC on Saturday. The Ducks and the Huskies. That's going to be fun. Both of us have been Ducks fans for a long time. You were wanting. Who was that? DeAnthony Thomas, Oregon Ducks jerseys when you were like 8 years old. Hell, he might have been 6. I don't know. But I've always been a Ducks fan. Washington, Michael Penix, Penix for you people out there who have scrambled eggs for brains. Dude is phenomenal, and I know that the West Coast teams don't necessarily get a whole lot of love in the Midwest or definitely out in the East Coast, but you got to check this one out. This is the prime afternoon game. Tennessee and Texas A&M's playing. Who the hell cares?
Oh, dude, this Oregon, back to that game. This is a NFL draft showcase on both sides of the ball for both teams.
Yeah.
This is going to be like that LSU Bama game a couple years ago. Burrow and Tua.
Mhm.
There's what 44 guys on both sides of the ball. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if half those guys get drafted to the NFL.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, just very impressive teams. And one of the things I just want to mention here, there's another marquee matchup we'll talk about in just a minute out west. But this being the last year of the Pac-12, they're sure going out with the bang.
they are, and I know you actually I listened to one of ours, and you were talking about UCLA before anybody.
He listened to one of ours, yes. All right. Mhm.
UCLA, Oregon State. That's gonna be brutal, man. That as great as the Oregon game was, if that wasn't the game day game, it would probably be in Corvallis, and that's gonna be a heck of a game between
Yeah,
two really, really good teams. That's gonna. Some guy said he worded it perfectly. He said it's cannibalism in the Pac-12 because they're all so good, but they beat each other. You know what I mean? How
yeah,
they're so good, but they always trade losses and blows, and none of them can reach that playoff because of that. And this is a
yeah.
game that embodies that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the SEC and in the Big Ten, it's not uncommon, and actually, it's likely to see two of those teams in the four-team playoff. Pac-12 doesn't get any love at all, and sometimes that's definitely founded because, like, sometimes defense is definitely optional with those teams. This year, they got man. Just look at this. We're talking about Oregon and Washington. You mentioned Oregon State, UCLA. Um, how about the USC team? And then we haven't even mentioned the two-time defending conference champion Utah, who's still has been playing a third string quarterback all year. I don't know if their superstar Cam Rising will be back or not, but that's half a dozen teams right there. And then you throw the wild card of all wild card, Dion's Colorado Buffaloes. It's fun to watch. And the only thing that sucks about it is most of those games don't come on until about 10 p.m. Eastern time. So this weekend, okay, we got primetime games, earlier kickoffs for Oregon and Washington in particular. Check it out, man. It's going to be fun to watch.
I agree.
So what do you think
Um,
about USC and Notre Dame?
this this makes me excited because it's college football, and when you think of college football, at least for me, I think of logos. And you see the SC interlocked and the ND interlocked next to each other, and that just gets me excited. That screams college football. It screams tradition right in
Mhm.
your face. We're gonna turn on the TV Saturday night, see those gold helmets up against that red, and then the piss pants that USC wears, and it's gonna be beautiful, man. It's gonna be I'm excited for that one just to watch. It's just pageantry, tradition, all those words you want to use. I don't even care about the game. I'm just excited to see the two teams playing each other.
Yeah,
Um, it's gonna be now talking about the game. Caleb Williams is gonna have to have like 6 touchdowns to win.
and he's
Um,
perfectly capable of getting that many or more.
he is, but Notre Dame is different than any Pac-12 team he's ran into so far. This is a team that has a good secondary,
Mhm.
really good front seven. Um, but the concern with this game is the defense of USC. Colorado had the 90th or something ranked offense, ran for 250 yards.
Mhm.
Notre Dame has Audric Estime. They have probably 3 or 4 guys that'll get drafted on the O line, and USC isn't physical enough for that. They're not going to go toe to toe with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at the line of scrimmage. If Sam Hartman throws the ball 15 times and they run it 55, they're going to win by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think you can write that down right now. Write it down in blood right now. Go call your DraftKings or Caesars Sportsbook and bet that. Um, but the thing is with with USC, I was watching them play the other night, and they started out. That was against Arizona, I believe, or was that Arizona State?
Arizona.
Okay, it's Arizona. Arizona jumped out to a 17-0 lead in the first quarter, and they looked like the '85 Bears out there. Um, Caleb Williams was like 0 for his first 6, and he wasn't making the runs, and guys were dropping passes, and they looked terrible. The defense totally sucked, and then they kind of turned it on. USC is one of those teams that is capable of scoring in bunches, and they did, and they somehow won that game in overtime. But their defense is atrocious. It doesn't make any sense to me
Terrible.
until
Terrible.
until let's go back in time a little bit. And who did Lincoln Riley bring with him in the middle of the night out to Southern California? What was that guy's name?
Grant.
The Grinch. Yeah, Alex Grinch. So the defensive coordinator for USC is the same guy who was the D coordinator for the Oklahoma Sooners, and then he was the assistant at Ohio State. Now, I it's no secret I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I remember when Alex Grinch left Ohio State to go to Oklahoma. I was talking to people around here in Columbus about Grinch, and nobody had one good word to say about it. They didn't care. It's like, okay, that's fine. We'll move on. Just I I don't have the talent to be a defensive coordinator. Okay, let's put that out there. I'm sure I couldn't do any better, but this guy has not produced results. And defensive coordinators at Division One big time programs like that, he probably makes 2.5 or $3 million a year. So what's going on out there?
It's just a lack of being fundamentally sound and complex coverages that you have to think when you're playing. When you're playing football or any sport, you're kind of flowing. You're not thinking, you're just going. It's your body in space. And he has too much thinking going on. And it burns them, man. And it doesn't help that I say it all the time, they're jazzercise off-season workouts in Southern California. The story we're seeing in LA or wherever the hell they play, I can give a damn, is what we've seen at Oklahoma. It's we have to outscore everyone, and if we don't, we're gonna lose. And they're gonna get bodied on Saturday night, at the line of scrimmage. The only thing USC's defense has going for them is they're opportunistic with turnovers. They can get Sam Hartman to throw a pick, or Estime for Notre Dame to have some silly fumble. I heard it's supposed to be a little wet in South Bend. So that game relies on a team that is not going to make mistakes. And man, USC doesn't have a chance unless they score every drive in that game. Because Notre Dame did. They're going to run that ball at them every time. And eventually they're going to get tired. They are.
Yeah, I think USC's best chance is to get the jump on Notre Dame, and if Notre Dame has a couple bad drives or something, and I think that's their chance. But otherwise, if I'm the Fighting Irish, I'm running the ball down their throat right from the beginning. Uh,
I
we
agree.
we got about 8 minutes left, so let's pivot to the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, 2 weeks ago, when we had our last show, the Cowboys had just kind of inexplicably lost to the Arizona Cardinals, and we tried to figure out just what in the hell happened with them. They followed up with a nice win, and we had this big matchup on Sunday night against the San Francisco 49ers juggernaut. And the 49ers completely outclassed the Cowboys. I mean, all phases, even superstar defensive end Micah Parsons was neutralized out there. So we got about 7 minutes. So what the hell happened to the Dallas Cowboys? Part two. Part two.
I think the team is in turmoil. I think there's a lot of locker room problems, management problems with Dufois, Jerry. Just a lot of issues internally, and it's showing on the football field right now. And, the 49ers are probably going to go to the Super Bowl. Let's not act like they aren't really good, but it's just undisciplined football. That's what it is. It's Dak throwing it right to the defense. And, we dumped on Dak for that performance. But if you actually watched the game and you saw the receivers weren't getting any separation at all against the 49ers. So, you can blame the quarterback, but it's not his fault that no one got open.
Well,
Pass rush
there,
against Dallas was unstoppable.
well, there's
Yeah.
that. I
So,
mean, Dak didn't give up all 42 points either. I mean, I think that, like we talked about before, if we went to the Australian outback right now, shout out to our listeners down under, um, and we mentioned the NFL, somebody would say, "Go Dallas Cowboys." Somebody would say that. So with that notoriety comes scrutiny, and the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is always going to get it, man. There's no way that you can avoid that. As it is right now, Dak Prescott, he's in a no-win situation. If they play really well and beat some of the lower tier NFL teams that they have this season, they were supposed to do that, and the defense gets all the credit. Um, all right. When everything goes to hell in a handbasket, the first one that gets called out is Dak Prescott. It goes with the big contract. It goes with the name on the uniform. It goes with the guy who's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. That's just how it is.
yeah, I mean, the 49ers are really good. Great defense. The Cowboys defense they've definitely taken a step back. I think the Trayvon Diggs
Mhm.
injury hurt them so bad. They don't
Yeah.
have that shutdown guy. They have Stephon Gilmore, and he's a shell of his former self. No pass rush last weekend, and it won't be like that, coming up next couple weeks. That's just the 49ers. They have Trent Williams on the outside there.
Jeez. Yeah.
They really good inside guards, and it's a buzzsaw.
I want
Um,
to I want to put on
but
the record that going back to 20 years before you even freaking born, that's where my disdain for the 49ers started. It started when they had the catch with Montana to Dwight Clark there against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs that year that helped jumpstart the 49ers Super Bowl runs in the 80s and 90s. But let me tell you something. I have nothing but respect for the 49ers as a franchise. Kyle Shanahan. In this day and age, who wins the Super Bowls? The teams with Tom Brady, teams with Patrick Mahomes, um, teams with Jimmy G, no. Trey Lance, no. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, Ohio State. Sorry, Brock, I didn't mean to insult you, man. Iowa State University Cyclone legend Brock Purdy is playing that. He's taking that game manager kind of mantra and taking a step forward, and just he's getting the ball to
yeah,
his superstar playmakers out there, and with that defense. I mean, right now, 5 weeks in, the 49ers are Super Bowl champs. Like, remember, 3 weeks in, the Dallas Cowboys were.
well, I mean, great system ran in the 49ers organization. Um, they could have thrown me at quarterback, and I would really love throwing a check down to McCaffrey or a drag route to Debo Samuel every play. I think anybody could do that. Not anybody. That's a joke, but um, it's definitely not like you have to be a super high level quarterback to be good in that offense. But the difference between them winning a Super Bowl the last few years has been that good quarterback. You know, they've had just enough at quarterback to get them a couple rounds into the playoffs, but they haven't had that guy that's got them over the hump. And Brock
Hmm.
Purdy is not that guy. Um, if they were to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be because Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, guys like that are dominating the line of scrimmage and forcing turnovers. The Super Bowl isn't going to be won by Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
The Super Bowl is going to be won by the defense if they make it that far. But
yeah.
you know,
There's a long ways to go. I mean, we're 5 weeks into this season, and the 49ers are just great team out there. The Philadelphia Eagles are still undefeated. They were kind of getting a lot of slack because they were seemed like they were off a little bit, but hey, they're 5-0. They're playing better. Jalen Hurts had a great game this last time. Long ways to go. It's easy to get kind of discombobulated about this. You know, Dallas has a chance to right the ship against the San Diego Chargers this weekend. Win that game, you're 4-2. You're back in the thick of things. But you know, right now it kind of looks like they are a middle of the pack, maybe slightly above average team. And here, week 5, you know, that's okay. But
Yeah.
when it comes time to really, you know, to bring it against the Eagles, against the 49ers down the toward the end of the season, they're going to have to step it up if they're capable of doing that. I don't know. Optimistic,
Well,
but
the way you got to look at it is you got to get your guys the ball. You got to get Michael Gallup touches. You got to get CeeDee Lamb touches. And then defensively, they'll take care of themselves. But it's week 6 coming up. I'd much rather them. I'm not saying they'll have some crazy trajectory that just goes up the rest of the year, but it's good to get these performances out of the way early
yeah,
instead of this happening in first round of the playoffs. So they
that's right,
definitely have
man.
room to improve. At this point, it's just staying healthy and keeping the locker room together, and they're gonna be fine. You know, tough loss. Who cares? It's over. Chargers are next.
Yeah, we got we're gonna wrap it up here. Um, that you hit it on the head. Chargers are next. You know, in the league, you have to have a short memory and lots of games to go. So, shoot, barely, we're not even honestly in the middle of October yet. So, long ways to go. Dallas Cowboys fans, we can settle a little bit. Hey, let's watch them play San Diego this weekend and take them out. So anyway, it was good to talk with you folks out there tonight. Please like and subscribe your favorite show, Jaws on Sports. We have all the answers here. Zach, buddy, have a good night. Glad you're back home. And we will talk to you later, folks. Oh, yeah,
Texas
the
is
horns are
terrible.
down.
Oklahoma is just better. Texas sucks. Boo.